We just sang about feeling and knowing that the presence of spirit, of the divine God is here. And maybe we don't wrap our heads around or know exactly what all that means. But just look around the people in this room, and you can see and feel the joy that they have, the happiness that they share with us just being here, part of this community. And you can feel the peace in this room that each one of us has by, we're just here. This is our family. This is our community. Nothing to fear, nothing to fight. There's not challenge that causes us to be on edge. It's very peaceful and tranquil. And there's a harmony within every person as we sit here together in this room. And feel the love that each one of us has for our fellow human beings, for each other. And maybe most importantly, the love we have for ourselves as these creatures that were so hard to understand, so hard. We don't know about who we are, what we are. We just kind of work it out as we go. It's an ongoing process as we go through this amazing experience we call life. And if you can feel that love and that peace and that joy, you're feeling the presence of God. And so it is.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
Today, I'd like to share the origins of October 31st. The celebration of Halloween has a deep history starting 2,000 years ago when the Celts marked November 1st as the end of harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was associated with human death. They believed that on the night of October 31st, ghosts of the dead returned to earth, causing trouble and damaging crops. The Celtic priests, called Druids, made predictions of the future to comfort the Celts. Huge sacred bonfires were lit to the Celtic deities, and during this celebration, the Celts wore costumes, usually of animal heads and skins. By 43 AD, the Roman Empire had conquered the majority of the Celtic territory, and for the next 400 years, the Romans continued the Celtic commemoration of the passing of the dead. But they also honored a Roman goddess of fruit and trees using the symbol of an apple, thus the tradition of bobbing for apples. By the 9th century, Christianity had spread into Celtic lands where bonfires, parades, and costumes were now celebrating All Souls Day, which was called All Hallows, eventually to be called Halloween. When Halloween came to America, beliefs and customs of different European ethnic groups and of the Native Americans continued. Masks were worn to avoid being recognized by ghosts so that the ghosts would mistake them for fellow spirits. Bowls of food were left outside to appease ghosts from entering the houses. In the second half of the 19th century, millions of Irish immigrants fleeing the Irish potato famine came to America and popularized the celebration of Halloween nationally. Borrowing from European traditions, Americans began to dress up in costumes and go house to house asking for food or money, a practice that eventually became today's trick or treat tradition, which is thought to date back to the early All Souls Day parades in England, where poor citizens would beg for food during festivities. Families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for their promise to pray for the family's dead relatives. Throughout history, humans have both feared and celebrated the dead. I feel that Halloween traditions show the growth of our spiritual awareness. Now, it is primitive to think the dead actually return to walk the earth and threaten us, or that food must be put out to protect homes from spirits. All Souls Day evolved to honor rather than fear all who have died. I especially like the idea of a soul cake, as for me, both words are very positive and comforting. As a species, I believe that our consciousness is growing as we realize that the real us, our souls, truly never die.
Kelly, thank you. And thank you for letting everybody know that the Irish are the people that brought Halloween over here. It's all about the candy.
That's right, that's what Kelly's do.
But I'm not so sure about that haunting thing. I've got a mother-in-law that passed. Seems like she comes back once in a while. Anyways, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And happy Halloween to everyone. However you choose to participate or not, or celebrate or not, it's just a lovely day. Lots of things going on. It's getting that time of the year where it's going to get very exciting from day to day. We never know. Today we are having something we call potluck. And if you're here like for the first time, please be welcome. And you're always welcome to potluck, whether you bring anything or not. There's always plenty, but the most important thing is the fellowship that we share. And so that's the last Sunday of every month, right after church. Wednesday evening discussion group is on hiatus for a little while. We're going to talk about it at board meeting and see what we can figure out. And we don't know. We just, like everything else, we just make it up as we go along. So that's the way Wednesday night is for a while. Thursday mornings, 10 a.m. Week from Thursday in the hall. It's a book study, a spiritual book study and discussion. And that'll be the
This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes.
Okay, A Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. That'll be on the 11th probably.
Oh, okay.
11th of November.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. I'm supposed to talk about something else.
Board meeting.
Oh, board meeting on the 14th at 9 a.m. It's right here in front of me. I just didn't happen to see this sitting there. On November 12th, 13th, and 14th, we're having Off the Page Readers Theater right here at Church of the Oaks on 3 p.m. And Kathleen and Hillary, they both come here. They're both congregants, and they're both in the Readers Theater. And the theme this year is, in this fall performance, will be Detour. And what it is, it's short stories or poems that the actors, the readers, and they're all local writers, local authors. And it's just a real nice showcase. And it's always, there's humor, and it's it's a good thing. Anyway, this will be on the table. There's another one over on the bulletin board in the hall, so check it out. Ananda, would you come up here for a moment, please? I understand there might be something exciting going on in your life.
Let's see. Halloween's today.
Halloween's today?
Yeah. Going over to friends and maybe trick or treating or whatever.
Okay. You gonna share your candy with an old guy that can't dress up and walk around anymore?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. That's part of it, you know, share your time, your talent, your thought, your treasure, and your candy.
Yes.
Doesn't start with a T.
Oh, okay, all right. Gee, okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I guess for Halloween, I was gonna be like, I was gonna be an old man, but not like.
I'm glad that some of us can be such a great example for these young people. That's fine.
Like a decrepit old man. Not
A decrepit old man.
Not like a handsome, good-looking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You're elected.
Boy, he's learning that schmooze thing.
Yeah, add about the board meeting.
You may add about the board
You
meeting.
are all welcome to come to the board meeting. One of the major decisions we'll be making at that board meeting is whether or not to continue our requirement to wear face masks. Those of us who are in fact vaccinated, and that's probably the vast majority of us, if we choose at the board meeting to implement a face mask off policy for the fully vaccinated, that means we have to do a couple of things, and some of it is sort of a little bit intrusive. We have to take a look at your proof of vaccination, and then we have to take a daily attendance when you show up. So if you want to give your opinion to a board member, make sure your voice gets heard at the board meeting, or show up and voice your message. So that's what one of the things we're deciding on the 14th.
Okay, and if anybody here today doesn't have a mask, we have masks on the table in the back in the foyer. And thank you. And it's kind of, we're just in that gray space of who knows. It just is what it is. And I think we're getting to the point where we're far greater risk of problems just driving here and back home, from home to here and back, than we are from COVID. So who knows? What's up? The cabaret, we postponed it for a while until we can legally and consciously gather in the hall and dance and sit there and share food with each other, share good times with each other, and to where we don't have to have masks and we have to have distancing, and we just want it to be a joyous occasion. And right now there's a lot of outdoor things that are going on, and a lot of places do have entertainment, and we want it to be just truly a good experience here. So whenever that's possible, we've got 3 bands all lined up to begin. And the first one's going to be the Bluebirds, that young rock and roll band that plays classic rock. They're off the charts. They're great. So we will let you know in plenty of time. There is another thing that I'd like to do today that is one of the funnest and most enjoyable duties that Wayne and I have. David Ergo, would you please come front and center, please? Right here in the middle, buddy. We got you going and coming either way. David has expressed an interest to become a member of Church of the Oaks, and it has been ratified with the board. And it's a custom here to gift each new member with a book, and hope you enjoy that read as much as I have. So at this time, I turn this oratory over to our board moderator, Mr. Wade Push.
David, as the board moderator for Church of the Oaks, I'm pleased to welcome you into our congregation as an official member. So therefore, it's my pleasure to hand to you your membership card. It's signed, duly dated as of this date, I do believe. And we're also going to give you a copy of our bylaws and constitution. There will be a test on that. Everyone who becomes a member gets their own personal copy. And it would probably be a good idea to read through it to kind of know what we're about officially. We have been incorporated in the state of California as a non-profit organization since 1907. So you are joining in with us to become a steward of all our properties, our assets, including this magnificent chapel, the hall, and what we call the Rose Cottage next door, and this great about quarter-acre parcel of property on a great corner. So as a steward, co-steward with the rest of us, we expect you to supply to all of us your time, your talent, your thought, your treasure, but not just to the benefit of Church of the Oaks, but to the benefit of all the community that we are all members of. So David Ergo, congratulations. Welcome to Church of the Oaks. David Ergo, folks.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements? If not, then let's stand up and sing number 6 in the Wings of Song, Morning Has Broken. It is now time for all of us to greet each other in whatever fashion we are comfortable with.
You're hiding there. We'll feel on you. They're new in town. There's a couple back here that's new in town. I think they're doing this over there.
Justin's here again.
Yes, it's amazing. They're talking about him. His name is Justin too, the new guy. Yeah.
How about a great big breath? Just take, breathe in all that peace and love and joy and fellowship. Let it out and feel it. We don't pass a basket at Church of the Oaks. Just what we told David a few moments ago. All that we ask is that we share our time, our talent, our thought, and our treasure as a member of this spiritual community. We feel the same way about our contributions, our gifts of treasure, of money. If you choose to share your abundance and prosperity with Church of the Oak, there's a basket in the back. But we feel that by offering you the opportunity to make a decision to actually share, that helps us all with our practice of abundance and prosperity and our intention of sharing our money, our time, our talent, and our thought, and our treasure. So let's read together, please, the affirmation of abundance on the order of service. When we truly begin to want more for others than we want for ourselves, we will begin to notice amazing changes in our own lives. May we ponder that a moment, please. Thank you, Wayne. As we prepare ourselves for the practice, let's sing together in the wings of song, Be Still and Know That I Am God.
Gosh, it feels good to just be here with you all. Once again, I want to draw your attention to one of the quotes at the bottom of your order of service before we proceed with the practice from a very wise speaker. It seems as though we try too hard to find something we already have. It's not about finding the presence. Presence must first be felt. It's nearly impossible to describe or define presence. You just know it. And that is exactly what we've been doing here these past few weeks as we practice focusing our attention on and then inviting that presence to expand within us. So we're going to continue again with that today. The quote said is true. The presence is not something we have to find, just something we have to remember is already within us. And it feels like coming home. So with some deep breaths now, begin to invite that presence to grow larger in your experience. In your mind, you can think, beloved, come. Maranatha. Beloved, come. Maranatha. Divine light, grow in my heart. And just let that continue to flow in silence here for a few moments together. Beloved, come. Remember, this presence is your true self. You have no need to find it, only to remember it. Namaste.
Thank you, Natalie. Wait. I wanted to, my intention today was to develop a message that would include, pertain, and be of interest to every single person in this room. So I tried to include all of you in the title. It's called That Awkward Stage Between Birth and Death. Did I leave anybody out? Are you all there, present and accounted for? Well, this is about each one of us. We are all on this journey we call life. For some of us, it's finally, after years of struggle, pretty much a cakewalk, really enjoyable. And for others, well, it's really a struggle. And full of challenges and uphills and downhills and curves and unseen things that just pop out at you. Every one of us has a life to live, but the experiences, the perceptions, the beliefs, the everything is different with each person. All similar, we're all people, but different. I think if we look at ourselves as we travel this journey of life, let's look back 5 years or 10 years, or for some of us, 50 or 60 years. All of us have different thought patterns now than we did in the past. We have all given up habits and started new habits. We have all had beliefs, thrown them out the window, taken on some new beliefs. We have all had relationships that aren't. We've had new relationships that are, and we will probably have more relationships that are and relationships that aren't. All of us have different levels of, what's the word everybody likes to use? Oh, enlightenment. I think that's a word that all of us have a different idea of what that means, different definition. Maybe awareness of the unseen, of spirit, of the divine, of God, of some people call it the Tao. All of us have all different perceptions, different ideas. That's how it's supposed to be. We never stop growing. Our brains never stop processing. Our hair never stops growing, except maybe for Wayne. Our fingernails continue to grow. Our skin changes, our bodies change. Our habits change. Our awareness levels change. I was having a great conversation a while back, not long ago, with a member of this community, this spiritual community. This person has been a member for several years. And this person is truly into what we call community, building community, team player, all about the we consciousness, building this community and not the me consciousness. But during this conversation that this person and I was having, this person said, Pat, sometimes you're talking, it's kind of like you're talking about a color that I just don't see. And I thought, I'll bet this person is not the only person that can say that. All of us have different perceptions, different things that we understand and things that we don't. We're not supposed to understand everything all at once. We're not supposed to. When I walked into Church of the Oaks 22 years ago, I had never heard what I heard here before in a church. I've been to every kind of church you could go to, but I never heard, I didn't know it existed. I was over 50 years old at that time. And in that 22 years, I've become an entirely different person than I was 22 years ago when I figured I was pretty mature and pretty much set my way in the twilight of my career. Contraire, I was just beginning the most exciting adventure of my life. So while we may not see a particular color, that's okay. We aren't supposed to at the same time. But this song we sang this morning when we started out, Surely the Presence, when we can feel the love and the peace and the joy in this place, or while we're with another person, or when we're experiencing something or hearing about something, we are aware of the presence. And like the quote on the order says, you don't have to define it or explain it or describe it, or it doesn't have to match anybody else's anything. It's what we feel inside. It's like, for all of us, except with possibly the exception of Ananda, all of us have come to a realization one morning when we woke up and thought, oh my God, I'm in love. I am in the presence of this mutual love thing. And in that moment, we know something. We can't describe it. We don't maybe understand it at all. But we're aware of it. I thought of a little humorous way to describe this feeling. Have you ever been out far away from any place? You found out you had to go really bad. And there ain't no place, especially if you're a lady. And you keep looking and you keep walking and you keep, and there's no trees, there's no bushes, but maybe there is a bush and you can get behind it, and maybe there's not, and all of a sudden you just can't hold it anymore. And whether you're behind the bush or just wetting your pants, you come upon this moment of time where you are simply being and being. And nothing else, not your beliefs, not the right or wrong, nothing else exists. When we have meditation, when we're in the practice, and we concentrate on our breathing. Most of us have had meditation moderated meditate. Concentrate on your breathing. At that point, you are being and breathing, and that's all that exists. And in those times, that's a wonderful opportunity to feel just who you are. The tranquility that there's no chatter, there's no chaos, there's no tension. It's just being and breathing. And you are just experiencing this thing we call presence. And people have written thousands of volumes of books and articles trying to describe it. You can try to tell people what it is. You have to feel it on your own terms. Sometimes I think of myself. Vivian used to say, well, Pat, what we are. Vivian was the minister that was here before me. And she said, what we are is teachers. You know, I'm not so sure I want to be a teacher. Because a teacher teaches you things like facts, or they teach you a skill, or they teach you an idea, or a belief. I just want to motivate people to work it out for themselves. They have everything they need. It's all inside of it. It came from the factory with this thing we call soul, presence. God is within us. The divine is within us. Everybody has to figure it out for themselves in their own way. And for years, religions have tried to tell people, this is what you have to do, this is what you need to do. They haven't had much luck with that. I think that everybody has to come to terms with the unseen, call it whatever you want, in their own way, in their own time, at their own rate. Because I can stand up here and sound profound and inspiring, but that might work for me. But if you don't understand it, or if you didn't think about it and come up with your own decision, it's just inspiring, it's just motivational. We've all gone and heard these amazing speakers, but we didn't think, we didn't work it through for ourselves. And the gist of whatever they were talking about, you were just on fire with it for 15 minutes, and then you get in the car and head home and you're thinking about it, and it's gone. If you don't work it out for yourself, it doesn't have a lot of value. Just like when you learn to play an instrument. If you don't work it out and figure out a regime of practice that works for you, it'll never be fun. It'll never give you contentment, satisfaction. You can do online lessons forever, go have a teacher forever, but until you work that process out in your own way of thinking, by your own deduction, it doesn't have much value. So I think that's why we all come, to share what we've learned. Do I want you to think any special way? Do I want you to believe anything? Absolutely not. I do want you to hear about a lot of different ideas and thoughts that some people have had great success with, that has enriched lives. When I learn about that or come across it, I want to pass it on to you. Who knows? That might be just a little thing that helps you get up the next step, turn the corner. A little light bulb comes on. Oh, that's what that means. Yeah, we didn't call it the presence. We called it having that special feeling in your gut that just made you feel good. Can't explain it. It just made you feel good. And you've had that good spot forever. And every once in a while you can feel it. And that's why we're in business here on the corner of West Sierra and Page, is to help each other try to find things that might allow us to enrich our lives. Elevate this thing we call consciousness. Books have been written about what consciousness is. I think consciousness is that unseen power or energy that controls what you're thinking, what you're saying, and what you're doing at any given moment in time. It can be really great, it can be not so good at all. And it can change in a blink. And as we learn these things, these processes, these experiences, they're little practices that make us find that little sweet spot of good, then we are evolving. And as we evolve, as we grow, our lives are going to change. They're going to be enriched. And when our lives are enriched and we enjoy our lives more, funny thing, so do the people around us. It just has that kind of effect. And that's the energy that each of us shares with our universe. So, it doesn't make any difference if you understand everything you hear here or not. I think the important thing is that you are here in this environment, in this community of love, of peace, of joy, tranquility, and contentedness, compassion, acceptance. It's quite a lovely, lovely environment. And there are no rules. You don't have to swear that you believe this or believe that. You are just human beings having this amazing journey called life. And what I think is so valuable and so much, we have chosen to share these experiences with each other. We're going to go next door in a moment or two, and we're going to share food. We're going to share discussion. It's the Community First Village down in Austin, Texas. It's a homeless village. I asked people to check it out online, give it some thought. Other people made some comments. There were similar things going on around our. Let's talk about that while we're sharing our food and our fellowship with each other today. And there's something I hope that we can all kind of catch on to about things like Community First Village. So please don't be distressed or discouraged or hard on yourself, because every one of us, I promise you, I guarantee this, I will put it in writing. In fact, I already did. We're in that awkward stage between birth and death, and so it is. Let's stand and sing, "Life is for Living."
Give in.